So first of all, thanks a lot for the invitation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here today, physically in this time of virtual reality, or at least partially physically. And I'm looking forward to, in the next 15 minutes, share some of the work that we've been doing at the Fraunhofer Society around smart cities and urban development. Yes, to begin with, the Fraunhofer Society, for those of you who are not familiar with us, is a partially public institution. It's a non-for-profit organization for applied research. It's Europe's largest organization for applied research. We are about 28,000 researchers working across all disciplines. And we have brought together, about 10 years ago, 12 of our institutes focusing on urban issues, on technologies for urban development. And we've called it the Morgenstadt-Initiative, the City of the Future initiative. And since then, we have been working together between research, cities, and industry to develop and find solutions for the challenges of our time. So you can see here, basically what we do is we try to bring knowledge from basic research down to be applied in future applications. We try to link technologies to application so that they meet the needs of citizens, of cities, of future infrastructures. We do that by inviting cities and municipalities to share their current demands, to enter in a dialogue with us, to work on very specific projects. It could be on district basis, it could be on entire city basis, it could be on the basis of an individual house or an individual infrastructure. And we invite business and industry to work with us in order to identify and understand the future markets, the opportunities that a transformation of our urban environments entails for them, but also to test and to pilot innovations, because obviously you need to bring both of those sides together in order to see how technology and how innovation actually functions within a city, since a city is a highly complex undertaking. Of course, today time is limited, so I won't have time to go into depth into all of our research. I just want to show you we are doing this with a changing and dynamically developing network of cities and industry partners and also strategic partners from across the globe. It's an open network, so cities and companies come together and work with us and the 12 Fraunhofer Institutes. A couple of years back, we have identified 12 major areas of research and innovation with importance for the sustainable and the future-proof city, ranging from mobility as a service, around urban security and resilience, on urban data platforms, on smart energy homes and hybrid energy systems, intelligent and connected public spaces, etc. And we've initiated over 55 small and large research and innovation projects focusing on a range of those innovations and technologies. At the core, there is, let's say, a distillation of our work, which is a framework for urban transformation, which we apply to support cities in undertaking and managing that transformation. And let me just stay on that slide for a second, because what you have to understand, if you talk about cities, they are highly complex and interwoven systems. So it is essential to not only look at, for example, the change of technology and infrastructure. It is also necessary to look at all the other systems that work around this. So what we have done in a large analysis of best practice cities globally, amongst others Tōkyō and Berlin, and others like Singapore or Copenhagen, we have brought together a framework that resembles the key building blocks of a transformation framework. And you could basically say without going into detail too much, that you always need to align 3 levels of activity if you want to enable a transformation of a city. So basically what you need to understand is if you want to introduce new, innovative, clean technologies and infrastructures in a city, this immediately needs a response on sort of the next higher level, which is the level of planning, the level of integrating citizens, integrating research and economic enterprises, because cities are used to do things in a specific way, and if you introduce a new, maybe connected technology, such as a decentral hybrid energy system, you need to plan it in a different way, you need to engage with stakeholders in a different way, and you need new type of planning tools. But at the same time, you need to also involve sort of the 3rd level, which is the governance and the management and the financing of this infrastructure and of the urban development. Because decision-making is also locked in specific administrative structures. So you need to also reimagine and reorganize the way decisions are being taken and projects are being managed. So in essence, whenever you try to transform a city or try to introduce a more innovative technology and infrastructure, you need to immediately consider these other 2 levels as well. So we have applied this framework in the last years, maybe 12, 13, 14 times in various cities around the globe, and we can see that it really helps to align activities across those levels and to accelerate the transformation. So if we take a look at where Germany or Europe stood with the smart cities before the COVID-19 pandemic, please click. You could see we did a lot of pilot projects. We did a lot of innovation programs, that means innovation funding. They were answered by and organized and managed by special innovation departments. And we can also see that there's a competition of platforms out in the market. Basically, what we have seen is the intention of creating a new market by means of innovation, but what we haven't really seen is that those innovations have arrived in, let's say, in a normal, everyday setting on how our cities, how our infrastructures are operated and maintained, and how urban services are being delivered. So this is still, or has been still, a part of the innovation department, of specific funding support by government, and of competing platforms. So what we've been focusing on now, so throughout the last 2 years, is to develop an approach for systemically shaping the market. And what we've seen is under the COVID-19 pandemic, of course, the focus shifts a little bit towards resilience, toward healthcare, but the importance of a systemic market shaping is today more important than ever before. So if you look at the emerging market of smart cities in Europe, you will find a very large European innovation funding program. It's the EIP-SEC, the European Innovation Partnership on Smart Cities and Communities, funded by the European Commission with almost €500 million, which has initiated almost more than 500 pilot projects and smart solutions in almost 100 cities across Europe. But what we haven't seen is that those solutions come together and combine towards one joint market. So what we did is we looked at all the measures and brought them into a more, let's say, abstract description of smart solutions and looked at their potential of standardization and the scale advantage. So if you purchase more of a specific thing, does it scale? That's the scale advantage. And if you standardize it, does it get cheaper? That's the potential of standardization. And you can see in that graph, on the upper right bit of the graph, there is, let's say, the the important solutions for which we see today a tremendous potential of market penetration and market integration. So what we did at the Morgenstadt Initiative in response to this is we created a spin-off called Babel, which is supposed to support structuring that market in a way. So today you can basically go to that website and you will find a neutral description of a growing amount of smart city solutions which serve as a blueprint for the development of projects, but also for getting inspiration from 400 or more use cases and best practices from other cities. A key thing which we have seen is digitization and the digital transformation. Like before the COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen that we were unable to grasp the actual value of digital transformation for our cities. Everyone knows it's important. There are in the private sector very powerful platforms that are able to grasp an enormous amount of business value from digitization, but in our cities, in the digital urban economy, it has been quite hard to understand the value and to measure the value that we can create with digital applications. What COVID-19 has shown us is that there is a tremendous and massive value. Those cities that had managed the digital transformation successfully, like for example cities in Estonia, were able to maintain 99% of their services throughout the pandemic, while others, which were struck by surprise, had to shut down services or delay services. And at the core of this is a complex issue which we haven't looked at enough, I would say, when it comes to the management of urban data. So all of the municipal services and all of the IoT-based solutions, be it in the mobility area or be it in other areas such as the energy, public space, etc., they in the future build on data. And this data comes from very different sources. Some of them come from private companies, some of them are open data, some of them come from citizens and their mobile phones, some of them from sensors, etc. And what we've seen in the past is that if municipalities do not have a coherent approach to manage those data in a systematic way, they either get stuck in the transformation, in the digital transformation, or, of course, large private corporations take over. We've seen that this leads to a lot of protest. For example, we've seen that in Toronto with the Sidewalk Labs. It's a Google daughter company that was trying to build a fully connected smart district. And we've seen that this doesn't work if we do not take into consideration the data sovereignty bit and the citizen-centric design of our data systems. So we increasingly see municipalities stepping up to become the new public authority on managing data from different sources. And what we've done, what we are doing at the moment, is to set up another spin-off company, which is almost like a public company that is supporting municipalities in that integrated management of urban data, providing an open source urban data platform, which is really important, has to be open source, and working also with a new approach of data sovereignty. So data sovereignty means that you need to be in control of your data, even when the data is already in the application. So there is a new standard, the IDS standard. It's been developed by Fraunhofer, which allows to connect usage conditions to individual data sets and to enforce those usage conditions throughout the daisy chain of data, so that at each point the owner of the data can withdraw or change its usage conditions. And that is basically how we foresee the future of the digital transformation of our cities, at least in Europe. It's citizen-centric, it's focused on security, privacy, and data sovereignty, and it puts municipalities in a new position of being the trusted and efficient manager of data. I'm happy to take any questions later on, so thank you very much for your attention.